Hello and welcome to This Week in Campbell Football. I'm your host, Chris Haymeyer, alongside head coach of Campbell Football, Mike Minter, and this show is powered by our friends at Fred Anderson Toyota. What a weekend for you and your team, Coach. You put up 45 points. Your offense got nearly 500 total yards for the fourth time this season. You threw for 257. Your offense really starting to hit its stride.
Well, the offense has been playing well, I think, all year long. And, you normally defense is kind of is the side of the football that kind of jumps, ahead of the game. But with these offenses today, it is very difficult to be a defensive coordinator against these different offensive schemes that you see. And Jacksonville was probably the most talented football team we saw from an offensive standpoint. So, but we were very, very pleased with where our offense is and what they've been able to do up to this point.
You talk about competing. That's something in your steps to becoming a winning program that you do. They were matching Jacksonville, who is one of the powers in the PFL, blow for blow. It was close at halftime, and then they came back at the end and made it a 7-point game.
Well, you know what? I was very proud of our guys. We came out loose. We came out with a purpose. And, that first half was some good football by both sides. And then, in that process of learning how to become a champion, what happens is that you sometimes revert back to your old self. And we did that for about 5 minutes in that football game. And they was able to score, quickly, 21 and then 24. And all of a sudden, they up 3 touchdowns. And so, we had to fight back. That's what I was most proud of our football team, is that, they could have gave up. They could have said, oh, here we go again, but they didn't. They balled up their fists and they kept fighting. And then at the end of the game, had an opportunity with the onside kick. If we don't touch that and we get that ball, we go down and score. And I was going for 2 to win the game right there. So I was very proud of us learning how to take a blow and come back and respond.
A very close game. Both teams combined for 97 points. Here's the highlights from our Bill Priestley.
Campbell and Jacksonville squared off in an offensive shootout in Bowie's Creek. However, it started a little surreal when the smoke didn't quite clear from the field before the opening kickoff. First possession for the Dolphins, and quarterback Cade Bell is intercepted by Allen Hart, which jump-started the afternoon. Next drive for Campbell, Brian Hudson finds the end zone, and Campbell leads 7-0, which would start the scoring melee. Jacksonville would answer on a 16-yard pass from Bell to Andrew Robustelli, and we're tied at 7. After CU gets pinned down at their own 1-yard line, Brian Hudson reaches back and airs it out to Jabri Rittenauer for a 70-yard completion. CU continues the march right down the field, and again it's Hudson finding the end zone from 3 yards out. After a CU punt, the Fighting Camels score with their defense as Brandon Mobley picks off Bell and returns it 36 yards for the touchdown, as Campbell now led 21-14. Again, Jacksonville answers as Bell finds Giovanni Williams on a 10-yard touchdown, and again the score is tied 21-all. After a Jacksonville touchdown, Jared Ozimek tries a 36-yard field goal and cuts the deficit to 4 as we go to halftime. First play from scrimmage in the second half.
First play from scrimmage in the second half. Hudson takes it up the middle. He's in the clear to the 40, to the 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. The first play of this second half is a touchdown for Brian Hudson.
80 yards on the run, and CU takes the lead. Jacksonville would get a field goal to tie the game, and then the floodgates would open for the Dolphins. Jacksonville would get a couple of passing scores, and this 84-yard run by DeAndre Randall, and all of a sudden the Dolphins led 52-31. Down but not out in the fourth quarter, CU staged a comeback. Kurt Odom would catch this pass and sneak down the sideline for a score that would make it a 2-score game. And after the Dolphins punted, it was Odom again out of the backfield, finding a lane and scoring easily with 2 minutes left to go in the game. The Camels would try the onside kick, but unfortunately touched it before it went 10 yards, though it looks like Campbell might have recovered the ball after the play was ruled dead. Jacksonville would run out the clock to secure the victory on a wild afternoon in Bowie's Creek. The final 52-45 in favor of the Dolphins.
It's now time for Ask Coach Mike, where we ask head coach Mike Minter a question that you out there in cyberspace want to hear. Remember, you can tweet to hashtag #AskCoachMike or post on our Facebook page. This question, Coach, comes from Jeff. He asks, what is your memories of your first football experience back in Pee Wee or Pop Warner football?
You know what? It was great memories. I think my whole Pop Warner career, we lost one game, so I was pretty excited about that. You know, we had great coaches growing up, and I played at the Boys and Girls Club in Oklahoma, and I remember we was red and white, and it matched Nebraska, and that was my football team that I loved at the time, and you know, I wore number 30 because of Mike Rozier, and you know, ended up wearing that number at the end of my career as a professional. So, man, I loved the first day that I got my pads. I didn't know how to put them in, but I loved the fact that I was being able to play some football against some real people at the time. Because, you know, you always in the backyard playing by yourself with imaginary people. So it was good, and I remember that first year. I remember the first play, and it just felt like I was at home. I was like, man, this is it.
Remember, you can send him a question, just hashtag to Twitter, Ask Coach Minter. Well, we go now to present day, and you're on the sidelines as a coach now, and your players have a big challenge. It's homecoming this Saturday, 4 o'clock. The first-year program, Mercer, comes into town, but that doesn't tell the whole story, Coach. This is a team that has only lost one game. They're going to be a scholarship FCS program next year. This is a very good football team.
You know, they very well coached. As I watch them, they don't make mistakes. You would think a first-year program with a lot of freshmen on your team, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. But I think their head coach made it very, very simple. They're not complicated at all. What they do very well, but they keep it real simple for them guys. And they commit 9, 10 people to the box to stop the run. I think that's his first thing. Let's stop the run and make people beat us in the passing game. The only game they lost against San Diego, that's what San Diego was able to take advantage of down the field. And these guys are very well coached. I'm very, very impressed with what they look like on film and how they play. And so it's going to be definitely a tall order. I think at the beginning of the year, you don't think a new program would be this good, and but they are, but I think we're getting better too, and it's going to be a really good football game.
Coach, it's interesting as well because your team is 6th in all of FCS in rushing yards per game. Mercer is 5th. It's going to be about stopping the run.
Oh yeah, that's really what it comes down to. I think they first in stopping the run too in the country, and so it's really going to be who can run the football in this game, and we'll see who can oppose their will on the other guy.
Believe it or not, second to last home game of this season, and of course homecoming, a special 4 o'clock start time. Go to GoCamels.com for more information. That'll do it for this week's edition of the show. For head coach Mike Minter, I'm Chris Haymeyer saying if we don't see you at the game this weekend, we'll see you next week on This Week in Campbell Football.